The greatsword in Monster Hunter really does have one thing going for it, and that's that you kind of look like Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII, which is always a good thing. The greatsword is very, very powerful, and you can pull off some really amazing combos, and you can block incoming attacks from all different types of monsters, providing you have enough stamina. And alongside with that, it is very, very slow to swing. So I thought I'd make a little video discussing how I feel about the greatsword and if it's going to be for you, because the longsword is the more preferred use of sword in Monster Hunter games, and I don't know why. The greatsword is a lot of fun to use. It's, like I said, is very, very difficult. Once you commit to one of the moves, you are pretty much screwed if the monster decides to attack, as you can't dodge or block. But I have a ton of fun with it, and I've always had a ton of fun with it. I tend to alternate between all the different weapons. I do have a least favourite, I will make a video on that one, but the greatsword I think just needs a little bit more spotlight on it and a little bit more love, because not only does it just look absolutely badass, I mean it's a gigantic ass sword, and like I said, like the Buster Sword that Cloud Strife uses, but you can just absolutely batter monsters around, providing of course you have you know, the most upgraded versions of whichever sword you want to use, because if you take a low rank sword into a high rank quest, you know, it won't do as much damage. Still do a lot, but not as much. But here obviously I'm kitted out with all of the Rathalos armor and the Rathalos greatsword, and yeah, I mean, visually I think it looks absolutely badass. And as you can see here, fighting the Paolumu, or Paolu, I can't pronounce his name. I can't pronounce a lot of their names. I've been playing Monster Hunter for years and I still struggle to say some of them. But you know what I mean, Paolu. I'm going to go with Paolu. That's what I'm going with. But yeah, I mean, it can be a little bit frustrating at times, especially when you get a good charge up on the blade and then they move. But that's the gamble you take with using the greatsword. You are going to be a heavy hitter, you're going to be absolutely battering things around. Just take the Barioth, for example. You can break the Barioth apart. Just the sheer damage from the greatsword alone will just knock it for 6. And obviously when you're wielding the sword you can't walk very fast, but the greatsword user's goal is to get in close, wait for your opportunity to strike, and then just hammer away with some decent combos. And again, blocking will block pretty much nearly all devastating attacks, so it will drastically reduce all the incoming damage and issues and status affecting attacks that monsters will give to you. But it's entirely up to you at the end of the day. There's so much in Monster Hunter, which is why I have, you know, a fair few videos on it, and I'll have a fair few more coming out. Monster Hunter is just a way for you to become, you know, the Monster Hunter you want to be. You can use bows, dual wielding blades, longsword, greatsword, the gun lance. You can use the light bow gun or the heavy bow gun. You know, the insect glaive, which is really cool to use and very acrobatic. But the greatsword is very... It's not the easiest weapon to use, and once you get the hang of it and know what you can do and what you can't do, you'll be able to just piece together yourself when and when you shouldn't attack. Because you shouldn't attack a monster all the time, especially if it's pissed off. If it's pissed off, you kind of want to hang back until it's had its little temper tantrum, then you just got to get stuck back into the bosh and batter it around. But for anybody new to Monster Hunter, obviously this is the third part in my beginner's guide ongoing series of videos I'm going to make. I didn't want to make long 10-minute videos or 20-minute videos because that's just a waste of time. But with the greatsword, you can have a ton of fun with it, but just know it is incredibly slow to use, and with that, incredibly powerful. That's kind of the thing here. It's the same with the hammer and the switch axe and the charge blade as well. Once you get into using bigger weapons, of course, naturally, your swing is going to be slower, but once you connect that hit, it makes it all worthwhile. But please let me know in the comments, have you ever used the greatsword? Would you ever use it? Which weapon do you prefer? And once again, thank you very much for watching the video, and until next time.